Hi, everyone. I'm so sorry I can't be with you in person. I am snowed in here in Maine, but I'm grateful this season, winter, still exists, which is perhaps a good way to introduce this book about climate change. What if we get it right? Visions of Climate Futures. I am thrilled that this book is being considered as an FYE read. So I wanted to just give you a little bit more information, context, in the hopes that you'll find it to be a good fit. So I think the first thing to know about this book is that it's an anthology of sorts. It includes 20 interviews, it includes poetry, original art, quotations from luminaries of the last century, and many what-if questions. And apart from the title, What If We Get It Right?, my favorite question that I came up with to frame the challenge we have ahead of us is, what if we act as if we love the future? What would we do differently? So you'll see there's this QR code on the screen that goes to the website I created for the book, which is at getitright.earth. You can see across the top of the slides here, there's information about all the contributors to the book. There's a reading guide, all sorts of other resources, blurbs from incredible people I can't believe read and loved it, lots of press for the book, interviews, etc. And there's also a mixtape and some art that goes with the book. And with that, I will share with you the contributors to the book. So there are 20 interviews in the book, as I mentioned, with farmers and finance experts and nonprofit leaders and youth activists, and architects and museum curators, and lawyers and Indigenous leaders and community organizers. It really is this incredible breadth of expertise. Also energy experts and journalists and AI executives, just truly trying to understand from all these different perspectives, what does getting it right on climate look like? This is a book that is absolutely not wallowing in the sort of reasonably overwhelming state of affairs, but saying, what would it look like if we just got ourselves together, each found what role we can play, and charged ahead? Because the probably best kept secret, which I wish wasn't a secret, about climate change is that we already have all the solutions we need. It really is just a matter of how quickly and how justly we're able to implement them, from renewable energy to regenerative agriculture to electric transportation to green buildings to restoring and protecting nature. There's not a big secret about what we need to do. It's just all right, how quickly can we get it done? And these are dear friends and colleagues of mine who are featured in the book, who are helping us lead the way forward. On the book website, there's this reading guide I created that has reflections, questions, and actions to go with each section. There's also a reading guide created by the incredible team at Penguin Random House for teachers, so you can use these together however you see fit. And here's an example of what one of those pages looks like. So this section called Replenish and Regreen is all about the incredible power of nature in climate solutions. Nature could represent almost 40% of the climate solutions we need, but it doesn't often get the love and attention it deserves. So the 3 interviews in here, I offer these prompts to think about what this means in your place, in your community, and for all your students. There's also, to open each section, a list of 10 problems and 10 possibilities as a centerfold. And the reason that I think that's so important is because we often talk about the problems without talking about that we have the solutions already in hand. So for each section, I know this is too small for you to read, but this all is on the website with hyperlinks to all of the sources for these statistics. So for example, here, the first one in problems, approximately 1 million species are at risk of extinction due to habitat loss, exploitation, climate change, pesticides, and pollution. On the possibility side, protecting and restoring ecosystems could provide 37% of the carbon dioxide mitigation needed to stabilize warming below 2 degrees Celsius by 2030. So I think it's so important, especially when we're teaching, to make sure that students have this balance. They're not just overwhelmed by the problem, and we're not sugarcoating how easy it is going to be to implement the solutions, but to offer that balance and that way forward. So all of the references in the book are also online. You can see here, I've expanded the section on the interview with NASA climate scientist Dr. Kate Marvel. So all of these are hyperlinked to the original sources for those who have students or are teaching this in a more technical context and want to be able to unpack some of these details. I'll also add that this incredible artist, Olalekan Jefus, created these original digital mosaics to go with the book. Here you have the one in the end papers at the beginning of the book and the one in the end papers at the end. It was such a pleasure working with him as he was envisioning what would our climate future look like if we had actually started working on solutions in the 90s when we already knew, scientists had already told us the direction we were going in. And he envisions it from a perspective of like 90s Brooklyn, which is when and where I grew up. So I love this context. And what if Brooklyn neighborhoods were connected with farms upstate in this fugitive network of food systems? There's a bunch more images in the book and also available for you to preview on the website. But part of the heart of this book is this idea that everyone has a role to play in climate action. And so this climate action Venn diagram that I sketched out many years ago when people were asking me, how can they contribute? What can they do? Is featured in both the introduction and the conclusion of the book. And all of the interviews with experts show how different people have found their way to the hearts of their own Venn diagrams. So the 3 circles are: what are you good at? What work needs doing? And what brings you joy? And often we leave the joy part out, which I think takes away a lot of our motivation, our ability to stay in this work for a long time, our ability to engage our creativity and curiosity and develop very exciting collaborations. So this is an opportunity for students to move from climate anxiety, which is at astronomical levels in young people. The majority of young people say it affects their mental health and their ability to think about the future. So channeling that anxiety into, okay, like what am I good at? What are the climate and justice solutions I want to help with? And what are the things that delight me? Finding the heart there can be really motivating for people, and to see how others have done that, as is exemplified throughout the book, may be helpful. This I first featured in a TED Talk that I gave in 2022, which I just checked to get a screenshot for this presentation. Now has over 2 million views, which was a fun surprise. This question of how can we find joy in climate action really motivates me. And really framed the way I launched the book in the world, with art, with music, with a mixtape, with climate variety shows in 3 cities around the country, featuring magicians and musicians and supermodels and scientists. It was such a hoot. For those of you who want a preview of the book, there are the excerpts that I printed on my Substack blog, in Time and Oprah Daily, and in the Los Angeles Times. So you can find those also on getitright.earth. And for those of you who really just need some good vibes to get you through thinking about climate, or as you take a break from the conference, this is my anti-apocalypse mixtape. If you want to scan those QR codes, the playlist is inside the back cover of the book. When I teach this book at Bowdoin College up here in Maine, I have the students think of their own climate anthems, and that becomes the soundtrack to our end of term party. I should say that teaching this book as the core text in my climate communication course this year, and excerpts of it last year as I was finishing the manuscript, has been just incredible. The students really engage with the material in a very different way because interviews are the heart of this. The conversational nature, the fact that I'm in conversation with people that I adore, all of the humor and sweetness and comes through, and it feels almost like you're eavesdropping on a dinner party as opposed to having to read a textbook. So I was thinking so hard about how do I get all the information that I want young people and all of us to know about climate so we can make more informed decisions about how to be good citizens of this planet. And I thought, so much of what I've learned has been through conversation, in dialogue, in listening to others in dialogue. And so that's why the format of the book is as it is. It's also why the audiobook has the voices of all these experts. It has the voices of poets reading their own poetry. So that's an option for you and students as well. And you get something different from hearing it. So I assign students in my class to do an interview of their own based on this model, to write limericks about climate solutions. They learn to write their own op-ed. And last year, 6 students got their op-eds published in the local newspapers here in Maine. That's 6 of them out of the 6 that submitted them for publication. So it's really a chance to help students think about all different forms of communication. They wrote poems, they wrote climate manifestos for their final project. So the teaching of this book can be joyous and embody the idea of the Venn diagram as well. So that's really what I wanted to be there in person to share with you today. I'm sorry that I'm not there. I'm stuck in this gorgeous winter wonderland, and hoping that whatever books you choose, your students are highly engaged and thinking about their visions of the future, climate or otherwise. Thanks so much for the chance to speak with you.